when I watched it, I don't think I've ever cried in a film I'm in before, because you're so connected to the process of how things went, and it makes you think about, oh, that was the day that we lost light, or that was the day it started to rain, and But I actually really truly got swept up with this story when I watched it for the first time. I remember watching the news with total horror and staying glued to it and watching those numbers grow and grow. It was horrific. And I actually got a call from George Clooney, and he asked me to be part of his telethon. So I remember doing that. I just remember watching those images of people standing in front of the wave and not running from it, but just sort of staying focused on it. And it was so bizarre. Yeah, I mean, it was wonderful. I was very nervous about meeting her because I thought, where do I begin this dialogue? What do I say? What shall I ask her? Because I have so many questions, but I don't want to pry or probe and put her in a position where she's having to relive the experience. And it was all very sensitive. But we sat in a room, and I looked at her and thought, oh, please let her begin. And she just started welling up, and the story was told in one look. Every time I play a real-life character, it's different. It has its own kind of pressure. And in the case of Maria, it was because I felt the responsibility to tell her story the most truthfully way I could, because of her level of suffering, and then of course her story is just one piece of this massive story that took place, and so you feel the pressure of that. So many people are connected to it.
A lot of the survivors that we spoke to, who'd been there in 2004, talked about crying as being something that they didn't have a great deal of time for, and that everyone was very busy. Their priorities were very clear, that they had to find. They were looking for their wife, looking for their husband, looking for their children, or trying to survive this injury, or trying to help this other person survive their injuries, trying to get them to hospital. And to stop to cry was something that people talked about as being a sort of privilege. And there's a scene in the film where I do break down when I finally get on this phone with my father-in-law in England and find out that he hasn't heard from my wife, and I'm hoping beyond hope that maybe he has, and that'll be the moment where I know that they're okay. But and so the director wanted very much for me not to cry until that point, and when that happened, then for really to cry like a child.
Does it put more pressure on you playing a real life character?
It puts a pressure on you to an extent. I mean, in that it's easier maybe in a way as well, because you've got someone you can talk to about what did it feel like at this moment, or you can look at pictures of them. So in a way, it makes it maybe slightly easier. But the responsibility that we felt, I think, was to the people that were there at the time, the people that died there, and the people who lost their loved ones there. That was where I felt that we had the biggest responsibility to if you're going to make a film about this, you have to do it with a great deal of respect, and you have to do it with great honesty and truthfulness, and that's what we focused on. I mean, it's exciting, of course, if you think you might be in the running for something like that, but it's not something that you'd ever want to sort of rely on or get too excited about, because I don't know how it works. It's not. But that being said, it's always nice to be given. I've received some awards in the past, and I've always enjoyed it.
What was it like meeting the real life man you played in this film?
Nice, because I like him very much. He's a sweet man. It's so funny, I don't recollect having a very in-depth, I was somewhat embarrassed to ask him questions about what he did or why he did that. Now I'd be able to sit down and have a better conversation with him. He's here, so I can. But at the time, I don't know if there was some sort of embarrassment about the fact that this is a movie, we're making a movie of his story is something so different, it's a real experience, but I like him very much. He's a nice man.